Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you are in this world. God bless you. This is Gloria White coming to you from Utah, USA. Today we're continuing in the complete Apocrypha, that's right, in the book of Jasher, chapter 54. And when Judah saw the dealings of Joseph with them, Judah approached him and broke open the door, and came with his brethren before Joseph. And Judah said unto Joseph, Let it not seem grievous in the sight of my Lord. May your servant, I pray you, speak a word before you. And Joseph said unto him, Speak. And Judah spoke before Joseph, and his brethren that were there standing before them. And Judah said unto Joseph, Surely, when we first came to our Lord to buy food, you did consider us as spies of the land. And we brought Benjamin before you, and you still make sport of us this day. Now therefore let the king hear my words, and send, I pray you, our brother, that he may go along with us to our father, lest your soul perish this day with all the souls of the inhabitants of Egypt. Do you not know what two of my brethren, Simeon and Levi, did unto the city of Shechem, and unto 7 cities of the Amorites, on account of our sister Dinah, and also what they would do for the sake of their brother Benjamin? And I with my strength, who am greater and mightier than both of them, come this day upon you and your land, if you are unwilling to send our brother. Have you not heard what our God, who made choice of us, did unto Pharaoh on account of Sarah our mother, whom he took away from our father, that he smote him in the household with great plagues, that even unto this day the Egyptians relate this wonder to each other? So will our God do unto you on account of Benjamin, whom you have taken this day from his father, and on account of the evils which you this day heapest over us in your hand. For our God will remember his covenant with our father Abraham, and bring evil upon you, because you have grieved the soul of our father this day. Now therefore hear my words that I have spoken, or have this day spoken unto you, and send our brethren, that he may go away, lest you and the people of your land die by the sword, for you cannot prevail over me. And Joseph answered Judah, saying, Why have you opened wide your mouth? And why do you boast over us, saying, Strength is with you? As Pharaoh lives, if I command all my valiant men to fight with you, surely you and these your brethren would sink in the mire. And Judah said unto Joseph, Surely it becomes you and your people to fear me. As the Lord lives, I once draw my sword. If I once draw my sword, I will not sheathe it again until I have this day slain all Egypt. And I will commence with you and finish with Pharaoh your master. And Joseph answered and said unto him, Surely strength belongs not alone to you. I am stronger and mightier than you. Surely if you draw your sword, I will put it to your neck and the necks of all your brethren. And Judah said unto him, Surely, if I this day open my mouth against you, I would swallow you up, that you be destroyed from off the earth, and perish this day from your kingdom. And Joseph said, Surely, if you open your mouth, I have power and might to close your mouth with a stone until you will not be able to utter a word. See how many stones are before us? Truly I can take a stone and force it into your mouth and break your jaws. And Judah said, God is my witness between us, that we have not so far desired to battle with you. Only give us our brother, and we will go from you. And Joseph answered and said, As Pharaoh lives, if all the kings of Canaan came together with you, you should not be able to take him from my hand. Now therefore go your way to your father, and your brother will be unto me for a slave, for he has robbed the king's house. And Judah said, What is it to you, or to the character of the king, Surely the king sends out from his house throughout the land silver and gold, either in gifts or expenses. And you still talk about your cup which you did place in our brother's bag, and say that he has stolen it from you. God forbid that our brother Benjamin or any seed of Abraham should do this thing to steal from you, or from anyone else, whether king, prince, or any man. Now therefore cease this accusation, lest the whole earth hear your words, saying, For a little silver the king of Egypt wrangled with the men, and he accused them and took their brother for a slave. And Joseph answered and said, Take unto you this cup, and go from me, and leave your brother for a slave. For it is the judgment of a thief to be a slave. And Judah said, Why are you not ashamed of your words, to leave our brother and to take your cup? Surely if you give us your cup, or 1,000 times as much, we will not leave our brethren for the silver which is found in the hand of any man, that we will not die over him. And Joseph answered, And why did you forsake your brother and sell him for 20 pieces of silver unto this day? And why then will you not do the same to this your brother? And Judah said, The Lord is witness between me and you, that we desire not your battles. Now therefore give us our brother, and we will go from you without quarreling. And Joseph answered and said, If all the kings of the land should assemble, they will not be able to take your brother from my hand. And Judah said, What will we say unto our father, when he sees that our brother comes not with us, and will grieve over him? And Joseph answered and said, This is the thing which you will tell unto your father, saying, The rope has gone after the bucket. And Judah said, Surely you are a king, and why speak you these things, giving a false judgment? Woe unto the king who is like unto you. And Joseph answered and said, There is no false judgment in the word that I have spoke on account of your brother Joseph. For all of you sold him to the Midianites for 20 pieces of silver, and you all denied it to your father, and said unto him, An evil beast has devoured him. Joseph has been torn to pieces. And Judah said, Behold, the fire of Chem burns in my heart. Now I will burn all your land with fire. And Joseph answered and said, Surely your sister-in-law Tamar, who killed your sons, extinguished the fire of Shechem. And Judah said, If I pluck out a single hair from my flesh, it will fill all Egypt with its blood. And Joseph answered and said, Such is your custom to do, as you did to your brother whom you sold. You dipped his coat in blood and brought it to your father, in order that he might say, An evil beast devoured him, and here is his blood. And when Judah heard this thing, he was exceedingly angry, and his anger burned within him. And there was before him in that place a stone, the weight of which was about 400 shekels. And Judah's anger was kindled, and he took the stone in one hand, and cast it to the heavens, and caught it with his left hand. And he placed it afterward under his legs, and he sat upon it with all his strength, and the stone was turned into dust from the force of Judah. And Joseph saw the act of Judah, and he was very much afraid. But he commanded Manasseh his son, and he also did with another stone like unto the act of Judah. And Judah said unto his brethren, Let not any of you say, This man is an Egyptian, but by his doings this thing is of our father's family. And Joseph said, Not to you only is strength given, for we are also powerful men. And why will you boast over us all? And Judah said unto Joseph, Send, I pray you, our brother, and ruin not your country this day. And Joseph answered and said unto them, Go and tell your father, an evil beast has devoured him, as you said concerning your brother Joseph. And Judah spoke to his brother Naphtali, and he said to him, Make haste, go now and number all the streets of Egypt, and come and tell me. And Simeon said unto him, Let not this thing be a trouble to you. Now I will go to the mount, and take up one large stone from the mount, and level it at every one in Egypt, and kill all that are in it. And Joseph heard all these words that his brethren spoke before him. And they did not know that Joseph understood them, for they imagined that he did not speak Hebrew. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of his brethren, lest they should destroy Egypt. And he commanded his son Manasseh, saying, Go now, make haste, and gather unto me all the inhabitants of of Egypt, and all the valiant men together, and let them come to me now upon horseback and on foot, with all sorts of musical instruments. And Manasseh went and did so. And Naphtali went as Judah had commanded him, for Naphtali was light-footed as one of the swift stags, and he would go upon the ears of corn, and they would not break under him. And he went and numbered all the streets of Egypt, and found them to be 12. And he came hastily and told Judah, and Judah said unto his brethren, Hasten you, and put on every man his sword upon his loins, and we will come over Egypt, and smite them all, and let not a remnant remain. And Judah said, Behold, I will destroy 3 of the streets with my strength, and you will each destroy 1 street. And when Judah was speaking this thing, behold, the inhabitants of Egypt and all the mighty men came toward them with all sorts of musical instruments, with loud shouting. And their number was 500 cavalry, and 10,000 infantry, and 400 men who could fight without sword or spear, only with their hands and strength. And all the mighty men came with great storming and shouting, and they all surrounded the sons of Jacob and terrified them. And the ground quaked at the sound of their shouting. And when the sons of Jacob saw these troops, they were greatly afraid for their lives. And Joseph did so in order to terrify the sons of Judah, to become tranquilized. And Judah, seeing some of his brethren terrified, said unto them, Why are you afraid while the grace of God is with us? And when Judah saw all the people of Egypt surrounding them at the command of Joseph to terrify them, only Joseph commanded them, saying, Do not touch any of them. Then Judah hastened and drew his sword, and uttered a loud and bitter scream, and he smote with his sword. And he sprang upon the ground, and he continued to shout against all the people. And when he did this thing, the Lord caused the terror of Judah and his brethren to fall upon the valiant men and all the people that surrounded them. And they all fled at the sound of the shouting. And they were terrified and fell one upon another. And many of them died as they fell. And they all fled from before Judah and his brethren, and from before Joseph. And while they were fleeing, Judah and his brethren pursued them unto the house of Pharaoh, and they all escaped. And Judah again sat before Joseph, and roared at him like a lion, and gave a great and tremendous shriek at him. And the shriek was heard at the distance, and all the inhabitants of Succoth heard it. And all Egypt quaked at the sound of the shriek. And all the walls of Egypt and of the land of Goshen fell in from the shaking of the earth. And Pharaoh also fell from his throne upon the ground. And also all the pregnant women of Egypt and Goshen miscarried when they heard the noise of the shaking, for they were terribly afraid. And Pharaoh sent word, saying, What is this thing that has this day happened in the land of Egypt? And they came and told him all the doings, all the things from beginning to end. And Pharaoh was alarmed, and he wondered and was greatly afraid. And his fright increased when he heard all these things. And he sent unto Joseph, saying, You have brought unto me the Hebrews to destroy all Egypt. What will you do with that thievish slave? Send him away, and let him go with his brethren, and let us not perish through their evil, even we, you, and all Egypt. And if you desire not to do this thing, cast off from you all my valuable things, and go with them to their land, if you delight in it. For they will this day destroy my whole country, and slay all my people, Even all the women of Egypt have miscarried through their screams. See what they have done merely by their shouting and speaking. Moreover, if they fight with the sword, they will destroy the land. Now therefore choose that which you desire, whether me or the Hebrews, whether Egypt or the land of the Hebrews. And they came and told Joseph all the words of Pharaoh that he had said concerning him. And Joseph was greatly afraid at the words of Pharaoh. And Judah and his brethren were still standing before Joseph, indignant and enraged. And all the sons of Jacob roared at Joseph, like the roaring of the sea and its waves. And Joseph was greatly afraid of his brethren on account of Pharaoh. And Joseph sought a pretext to make himself known unto his brethren, lest they should destroy all Egypt. And Joseph commanded his son Manasseh, and Manasseh went and approached Judah, and placed his hand upon his shoulder. And the anger of Judah was stilled. And Judah said unto his brethren, Let no one of you say that this is the act of an Egyptian youth, for this is the work of my father's house. And Joseph, seeing and knowing that Judah's anger was still, he approached to speak unto Judah in the language of mildness. And Joseph said unto Judah, Surely you speak truth, and have this day verified your assertions concerning your strength. And may your God, who delights in you, increase your welfare. But tell me truly, why from among all your brethren do you wrangle with me on account of the lad, as none of them have spoken one word to me concerning him? And Judah answered Joseph, saying, Surely you must know that I was security for the lad to his father, saying, If I brought him not unto him, I should bear his blame forever. Therefore have I approached you from among all my brethren, for I saw that you were unwilling to suffer him to go from you. Now therefore may I find grace in your sight, that you will send him to go with us. And behold, I will remain as a substitute for him, to serve you in whatever you desire. For whosoever will send me, I will go to serve you with great energy. Send me now to a mighty king who has rebelled against you, and you will know what I will do unto him and unto his land. Although he may have cavalry and infantry, or an exceedingly mighty people, I will slay them all and bring the king's head before you. Do you not know, or have you not heard, that our father Abraham, with his servant Eliezer, smote all the kings of Elam with their host in one night? They left not one remaining. And ever since that day our father's strength was given unto us for an inheritance, for us and our seed forever. And Joseph answered and said, You speak truth, and falsehood is not in your mouth. For it was also told unto us that the Hebrews have power, and that the Lord their God delights much in them. And who then can stand before them? However, on this condition will I send your brother, if you will bring before me his brother the son of his mother, of whom you said that he had gone from you down to Egypt. And it will come to pass, when you bring unto me his brother, I will take him in his stead, because not one of you were security for him to your father. And when he will come unto me, I will send with you his brother, for whom you have been security. And Judah's anger was kindled against Joseph when he spoke this thing, and his eyes dropped blood with anger. And he said unto his brethren, How does this man this day seek his own destruction and that of all Egypt? And Simeon answered Joseph, saying, Did we not tell you at first that he knew not the particular spot to which he went, and whether he was dead or alive? And why does my Lord speak about these things? And Joseph, observing the countenance of Judah, discerned that his anger began to kindle when he spoke unto him, saying, Bring unto me your other brother instead of this brother. And Joseph said unto his brethren, Surely you said that your brother was either dead or lost. Now if I should call him this day, and he should come before you, would you give him unto me instead of this brother, or his brother? And Joseph began to speak and call out, Joseph, Joseph, come this day before me, and appear to your brethren, and sit before them. And when Joseph spoke this thing before them, they looked at each other to look each a different way, to see from where Joseph would come before them. And Joseph observed all their acts, and said unto them, Why do you look here and there? I am Joseph, whom you sold to Egypt. Now therefore, let it not grieve you that you sold me. For as a support during the famine did God send me before you. And his brethren were terrified at him when they heard the words of Joseph. And Judah was exceedingly terrified at him. And when Benjamin heard the words of Joseph, he was before him in the inner part of the house. And Benjamin ran unto Joseph his brother, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and they wept. And when Joseph's brethren saw that Benjamin had fallen upon his brother's neck, and wept with him, they also fell upon Joseph, and embraced him. And they wept a great weeping with Joseph. And the voice was heard in the house of Joseph, that they were Joseph's brethren. And it pleased Pharaoh exceedingly, for he was afraid of them, lest they should destroy Egypt. And Pharaoh sent his servants unto Joseph to congratulate him concerning his brethren who had come to him. And all the captains of the armies and the troops that were in Egypt came to rejoice with Joseph. And all Egypt rejoiced greatly about Joseph's brethren. And Pharaoh sent his servants to Joseph, saying, Tell your brethren to fetch all belonging to them, and let them come unto me, and I will place them in the best part of the land of Egypt. And they did so. And Joseph commanded him that was set over his house to bring out to his brethren gifts and garments. And he brought out to them many garments, with being robes of royalty, and many gifts. And Joseph divided among them, among his brethren. And he gave unto each of his brethren a change of garments of gold and silver, and 300 pieces of silver. And Joseph commanded them all to be dressed in these garments, and to be brought before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, seeing that all Joseph's brethren were valiant men, and beautiful appearance, he greatly rejoiced. And they afterward went out from the presence of Pharaoh to go to the land of Canaan, to their father, and their brother Benjamin was with them. And Joseph rose up and gave unto them 11 chariots from Pharaoh. And Joseph gave unto him his chariot, upon which he rode on the day of his being crowned in Egypt, to fetch his father to Egypt. And Joseph sent all his brothers, children, garments according to their numbers, and 100 pieces of silver to each of them. And he also sent garments to the wives of his brethren from the garments of the king's wives. And he sent them. And he said unto them, unto each of his brethren, 10 men to go with them to the land of Canaan, to serve them, to serve their children and all belonging to them in the coming to Egypt. And Joseph sent by the hand of his brother Benjamin 10 suits of garments for his 10 sons, a portion above the rest of the children of the sons of Jacob. And he sent to each 50 pieces of silver and 10 chariots on the account of Pharaoh. And he sent to his father 10 asses laden with all the luxuries of Egypt, and 10 she-asses laden with corn and bread and nourishment for his father, and to all that were with him as provisions for the road. And he sent to his sister Dinah garments of silver and gold, and frankincense and myrrh, and aloes, and women's ornaments in great plenty. And he sent the same from the wives of Pharaoh to the wives of Benjamin. And he gave unto all his brethren, also to their wives, all sorts of onyx stones and bdellium, and from all the valuable things from among the great people of Egypt. Nothing of all the costly things was left, but what Joseph sent to his father's household. And he sent to his brethren. Okay. I think 1 second. No, it's just an exceedingly long chapter. Okay. All right. And he sent his brethren away, and they went. And he sent his brother Benjamin with them. And Joseph went out with them to accompany them on the road unto the borders of Egypt. And he commanded them concerning his father and his household to come to Egypt. And he said unto them, Do not quarrel on the road, for this thing was from the Lord, to keep a great people from starvation, for there will be yet 5 years of famine in the land. And he commanded them, saying, When you come unto the land of Canaan, do not come suddenly before my father in this affair, but act in your wisdom. In other words, don't scare the old man to death. And Joseph ceased to command them, and he turned and went back to Egypt. And the sons of Jacob went to the land of Canaan with joy and cheerfulness to their father Jacob. And they came unto the borders of the land, and they said to each other, What will we do in this matter before our father? For if we come suddenly to him and tell him the matter, he will be greatly alarmed at our words, and will not believe us. And they went along until they came nigh unto their houses, and they found Shirach, the daughter of Asher, going out to meet them. And the damsel was very good and subtle, and knew how to play upon the harp. And they called unto her, and she came before them, and she kissed them. And they took her, and gave unto her a harp, saying, Go now before our father, and sit before him, and strike upon the harp, and speak these words. And they commanded her to go to their house, and she took the harp, and hastened before them. And she came and sat near Jacob. And she played well, and sang, and uttered in the sweetness of her words, Joseph my uncle is living, and he rules throughout the land of Egypt, and is not dead. And she continued to repeat and utter these words. And Jacob heard her words, and they were agreeable to him. He listened while she repeated them twice and thrice, and joy entered the heart of Jacob at the sweetness of her words, and the Spirit of God was upon him, and he knew all her words to be true. And Jacob blessed Shirach when she spoke these words before him. And he said unto her, My daughter, may death never prevail over you, for you have revived my spirit. Only speak yet before me as you have spoken, for you have gladdened me with all your words. And she continued to sing these words, and Jacob listened, and it pleased him, and he rejoiced, and the Spirit of God was upon him. While he was yet speaking with her, behold, his sons came to him with horses and chariots, and royal garments, and servants running before them. And Jacob rose up to meet them, and saw his sons dressed in royal garments, and he saw all the treasures that Joseph had sent to them. And they said unto him, Be informed that our brother Joseph is living, and it is he who rules throughout the land of Egypt, and it is he who spoke unto us as we told you. And Jacob heard all the words of his sons, and his heart palpitated at their words, for he could not believe them until he saw all that Joseph had given them, and what he had sent him, and all the signs which Joseph had spoken unto them. And they opened out before him, and showed him all that Joseph had sent. They gave unto each what Joseph had sent him, and he knew that they had spoken the truth, and he rejoiced exceedingly on account of his son. And Jacob said, It is enough for me that my son Joseph is still living. I will go and see him before I die. And his sons told him all that had befallen them. And Jacob said, I will go down to Egypt to see my son and his offspring. And Jacob rose up and put on the garments which Joseph had sent him. And after he had washed and shaved his hair, he put upon his head the turban which Joseph had sent him. And all the people of Jacob's house and their wives put on the garments which Joseph had sent them. And they greatly rejoiced at Joseph, that he was still living, and that he was ruling in Egypt. And all the inhabitants of Canaan heard of this thing, and they came and rejoiced much with Jacob, that he was still living. And Jacob made a feast for them for 3 days, and all the kings of Canaan and nobles of the land ate and drank and rejoiced in the house of Jacob. Wow, that was a really long chapter, but really good, huh? And as always, I love you.